This is a new beginning for HR leaders. A new chapter, not new beginning, a new chapter in the story. So welcome to the HR leaders studio.
Do you like it?
You like it? Yeah. It only took how long?
Too long.
Well,
How long is a piece of string? 6 months?
6 months, but 7 years of hard work to get here.
Exactly.
I think let's start there then. You know, just take a second, look around, take it in. How does it make you feel?
Progress. Feels like we've still got some way to go.
We're never happy.
Yeah. Does that feel bad to say that? Do you feel the same?
Do you remember what we did in Starbucks the last day before we finally quit? Do you remember what we did?
Yep. On the left side was why we should stay, and on the right side was why we should leave, and the opportunities that could present themselves to us.
Just had that bit of paper, and we realised that
the right side was stacked.
Yeah.
And what was it? The fear of failure holding us back was eventually the fact when we realised if it did go wrong, if we did fail.
Worst case scenario, we'll just go back to our jobs.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reality of it, right? Because, you know, when we look down the left-hand side, or sorry, whatever side it was of the things that we're worried about, you know, a lot of it was, well, for me, I remember fear of like, what's Natasha going to think if I fail? What are your parents, my parents going to think? Are, you know, our colleagues, you know, everyone we spoke to about it were like, you guys can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, who do you think you are? You know, do you think you're better than us? Like, you know, it was like the whole world was against us. So it was really hard to go against the grain and actually ignore your everything, you know, and just go with your gut at some point. And I think for me, what now I look back, what took it over the edge was I knew we would do well because we had each other.
Yeah.
As cheesy as that sounds. You know what I mean? Like, we both know that we grew up playing ice hockey together, every sport possible together. We understand how we each other's built.
Well, we had 15 years of friendship before we actually had a business partnership, right?
Yeah.
And I think in anything that we did, there was always that sense of I could rely on Chris. Not to get out of bed before 12 o'clock. but
listen, you knew that coming in.
And that's it. And the expectations were fully managed. I think many other co-founders...
I'm a night owl.
Yeah, many other co-founders wouldn't have been able to do that because they perhaps don't have that, you know, amazing relationship before they go into business.
And we also knew, like, what we don't know, but we have the growth mindset to go and learn it. What would you say you're most proud of over the last 7 years?
Honestly, that we have still remained friends.
You know, that's my. Well, I'll let you carry on, but that's my answer too. It's crazy.
I would say,
that's,
you know,
that
business, when you're the two co-founders and literally everything rests on your shoulders, every decision that you make, good, bad, you know, you have to be accountable for it. There's been some moments that have really tested me and you.
Oh, man.
And you know what? Just that unwavering sense of friendship that underlines us as business partners. You know, we can have a really difficult conversation with each other, no matter what it's about.
Yeah.
And we can take that in as a business partner, knowing full well that you're coming from a sense of the only reason why you're giving me a hard time at that moment or some advice that maybe I don't want to hear, you're telling me that as someone that you want the business to progress and you want me to do well personally. And I think I've always felt that, you know, anything that might come across negative to me, you're doing it for a reason. You know, you're not doing it to get under my skin. You're not doing it to drive us apart. And I think, you know, there's been some real testing times, but when I look back at it, you know, our friendship, I think, has only grown stronger over the last 7 years. You know, it's crazy. I get to work with my best friend every day.
It's so funny you said that. I mean, that literally was my answer. Like, when I was thinking about what I'm most proud of is our friendship. And it's also one of the things I was scared of when we were starting the company, because you know, you hear about so many stories about don't work with family, don't work with friends, and it's not easy. There's been tears, blood, sweat and tears, quite literally, to get to where we are. But like you said, whenever you were like, you've been like, Chris, you need to fix up, man. Like, you told you need to be accountable. You know, whatever it may be. I know that it's coming from a place that you want the best for me and the company, so it's okay. And we both don't have egos.
Yeah.
Did you ever think we'll get this far?
Yeah, truth be told, yeah. would I know that we're going to be in a really nice studio like this? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the weirdest sense of belief, yeah. Like I there's never ever a moment I doubt you. You come to me with so many crazy ideas, and a lot of them I have to, shut down or just say, let's park the bus on that.
Yeah.
Right? There's only so many hours in a day that we can work on these types of things.
Well, this
right?
is an example, right? Like
Yeah.
the first idea came to you was, let's start a podcast, and you were like, what are you talking about? In fact, the very first purchase, one of the very
we
first
made as a
purchase
business.
was a microphone.
Yep.
And then you were like, what are you on about? And I was like, trust me, we need to build, we don't have millions of pounds to market and like our competitors. So how do we build an authentic voice, in the community and give back as much value? The podcast, really, our strategy was just, let's give as much value as possible. And then hope it's, and then not even hope it just kind of naturally came back, right? Like, think about, you just returned from L'Oreal's hosting an event in L'Oreal's head office with Stefan, the CHRO.
And he was the first ever
episode
podcast
1 of
guest.
the podcast.
Yeah.
And 7 years.
It's about 6, yeah.
Six,
Coming
nearly
up to 7, it would be.
Yeah, nearly 7 years later, we meet Stefan for the first time in New York, and he hosts an event at L'Oreal. How crazy is that?
Which, by the way, was the most mind-blowing event.
I always knew that it would do well. I just didn't know, honestly, if I'm being truthful, how hard it would be.
Yeah.
It's
not for everyone.
It's not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart. And let's not pretend it's not, During the pandemic, we were a couple months away from going out of business.
Yep.
Like, we lost 90% of our revenue in the space of a couple of days because we do face-to-face events. The whole world closed down. And that's another thing I'm most proud of is I'm proud of a lot of things, but I'm also proud of our team. And
I'm proud of you and your leadership, because at that moment, Chris, we didn't have a digital product other than the podcast, and the podcast wouldn't have been enough to pay bills, rent, everything like that, which would have meant that we'd have had to go down the furlough route, ultimately leading to layoffs. We didn't. We expanded through the pandemic. You come up with new ideas, new ways to generate revenue, but also tie that back to value for the audience, value for the vendors that we worked with. And
we all did that though, really, to be honest.
But it come from your idea. It was your idea. I remember you saying, Shane, we're gonna have to do something completely radical, completely different to what we've done.
I remember the conversation, because I remember I didn't sleep the night before, because we came in with everyone, and everyone kind of looked at me and you of like, what are we gonna do? And the answer was, we don't know, but here are some ideas. And I think one of the main decisions was, and we kind of left it in the hands of the employees, which is kind of crazy. Like, do you want to furlough and we wait it out, or do we
try this one last?
Or do we just try this, or do we just run into the headwind and completely change our entire business model, create brand new digital products? And nearly everyone was like, okay,
let's give it a go.
Yeah. We'd rather take charge of our future than let it be dictated by someone else. And remember, this is when everyone thought it would be a couple of months.
Weeks, maybe.
Weeks, yeah.
We didn't know what was going on, did we?
It became 2 years, nearly 3 years. So, and we probably 5x the business revenue and employees during a pandemic, that's one of the things I'd probably be most proud of, that we did that, because boy, was that a learning curve. Boy, did that take an impact on my mental health, on everyone's. That was tough, man. But again, we come out of it stronger.